And now, a brief listing of the news media sources that I consume. We'll start with online sources. New York Times, Washington Post, BBC, The Guardian, The Hill, The Economist, The Daily Wire, National Review, Drudge Report, Fox News and CNN, only on election night. Now for radio sources. National Public Radio, Rush Limbaugh, Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin. Other sources are kind of interesting. So I have a lot of in-person sources, specifically my professors in my classes I've taken in DC. For example, one of my professors works as a congressional reporter, so I get a lot of information from him on the news, specifically political news. I also read lots of newspapers, specifically local ones. I keep in touch with Lexington newspaper, the News Gazette, and the newspaper in Harrisonburg, the Daily News Record. Whenever I'm in town in Harrisonburg, I like keeping up to date on those local news and events, and also the Rockbridge Advocate, which is a Lexington paper as well. But as for TV news, because I don't live in a place with cable, and because TV news, from what I've seen, isn't that great, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's not, I get why it gets lots of views and things like that. It's just not my cup of tea for how I consume news. Now, that being said, local news is different. I like being in touch with local issues, so if I get the opportunity to see local news, I'm more likely to take that to the national syndicated media, such like, say, CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or any of those mainstream cable stations. So I consume all these media sources, but I think what's more important than just simply what media you listen to is how you process that media. So for example, I look at an array of conservative and more mainstream and a little bit liberal media, and what I do is, instead of just merely taking it at its word, I'm a little skeptical. I also pay attention to, if I run into an article that I think is particularly good or insightful, who the author is, and look at the articles that they have written aside from that as well. And if I find an author that I like, I tend to weight those articles a little bit more than authors that tend to write pieces that seem a bit more shady. Another thing I tend to do, if a news media source makes a factual claim, I tend to try to do some research to either back that up or expand upon that claim. So just because a news source comes with an angle that I'm unfamiliar with, I don't take that, oh, that's automatically an interesting point. I tend to be like, so they bring up the point because of this reason, so what is that reason, and what is that like, and how does that fit historically, which goes into sort of my historical process of thinking anyway. I could go into a huge array of examples in recent political topics, but for the sake of avoiding politics, I will refrain from doing so. But anyway, I think the biggest challenge for our society today is processing the diverse array of information, specifically not just news media information, but information in general, as we've already had in our discussion on social media and the internet. So as we analyze our news media, that is something we need to keep in mind and consider, is how do we wade through all that. And I like to think I do a good job of that, but as I know no one's perfect, I'm sure there's some ways I can continue to improve. One of the things that I also do to catch perspectives that are outside my own is that with my friends who are on the other side of the political aisle, I tend to look at articles they post and read them. I don't necessarily respond. Actually, I rarely respond to them, but I just want to know what other people are thinking as well. But anyway, I think the source sure is important. What's more important is how you process that source and how you judge that source to give it a proper weight. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I look forward to hearing your thoughts, Robert, and I look forward to our future questions. Enjoy your day.